So today's conversation is going to be slightly different than the ones that we've previously been having. We've talked earlier on about, the fintech ecosystem in Pakistan, mental health. We've talked about the agri-tech field as well. So today's conversation, however, is going to be for aspiring entrepreneurs or struggling entrepreneurs overall. We're going to be hearing from Ghazanfar, who is a very, he's an entrepreneur himself and a very prominent figure in the startup ecosystem, about what it takes to be an entrepreneur. What does that journey look like? And somebody who wants to become one, what are the skills or what are the characteristics that they need to have to go on, get on this path? So, Ghazanfar, thank you once again for joining us today. And
My
I'm
pleasure.
going to, I'm going to start the conversation by asking you, what does one need to become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is a great question. I mean, a lot of people ask me, what it takes to become an entrepreneur. To be very honest, there's no one part to it. There's no structured approach like you have in. I think कि आपने एजुकेशन में मास्टर्स किया और उसके बाद आप जॉब में गए और जॉब के अंदर आपने you had a certain particular experience and then build upon that particular experience you got more better roles and senior roles. Entrepreneurship, I would say that I was part of this founders program with Antler. Antler is a startup generator and a VC company based in Singapore. And Magnus Grimeland is the founder, still is, and he has scaled it across the globe in a lot of countries. So when I was part of this founders program, he said one thing, that we are looking for people with grit. And by grit, he meant that people that don't give up, people that are passionate about something, right? So for an entrepreneur, I think this is super important, that whatever you want to do, whether it is an idea, whether it is something else, you need to be very passionate about it. You need to really believe in it. And that is what it takes. And then you need to be risk aversive. I mean, you might have heard the term, bigger the risk, bigger the reward. So yes, it is risky, the entrepreneurial roadmap. It is risky. You can go either way. There can be failures, but you should be prepared for those failures. And don't take failures as something negative. And I feel this is where the growth mindset comes into play. Growth mindset is that all the bad things that happen, they happen for a reason, and find that reason and do better. Even if something goes bad again, learn from it and do better. And that is where the entrepreneurial mindset is all about. Be passionate, have that particular grit within you, where you are unstoppable, where nothing can stop you. You continue to do what you are doing, but also be open to other feedbacks as well. You know how the market plays out. If the market is not right, if the timing is not right, don't stick with your idea, because a lot of these founders that have these ideas, they have this emotional bond with that idea, that I'm not going to change it, I'm not going to pivot it. But read about the market as well. So be open to that, whether it is the right time to launch this product, whether it is the right time to scale this vertical. And reading that market, being there, out there, part of the ecosystem, and being very, very, I should say that have that strong ability of emotions, because it's not an easy road to be on. When you talk about MNCs, when you talk about corporates, you have a safety, you have a security. आपकी job है, आपको तनख्वाह आ रही है month end के ऊपर. Over here, one day can be amazing, marvelous. The other can be really, really bad. But that bad day is super important. Don't make it don't treat it in such a way that this is going to be the end for me and I'm going to quit. So quit. If you are a quitter, if you get scared easily, if failure is something you take negatively, then I believe this is not the right path for you.
So then this, brings to my mind that, do you think these this approach is something that can be developed, or does it have to come naturally? Because there are a lot of people who, might have never taken that kind of a risk in their life, be it their personal or professional life. So until and unless there comes a point where they have to take it, they might never really know, how they react. So what do you think? Do you think this comes naturally to somebody?
No, completely. I disagree with it. I mean, I do play guitar as well. And when I started, learning guitar, I think 15 years back, there was this mindset that you are born as a musician, right? you are born with that special vocals and you can become a singer. I don't agree with that. I don't buy that. Training, being consistent, and having that passion to do something, you are going to deliver. So I don't think entrepreneurial कोई born होता है कि Elon Musk was born as Elon Musk. Elon Musk went through a lot. So Elon Musk went through a lot. There was a hard journey. There were hard decisions. There were a lot of failures. I mean, read about the SpaceX stories where he almost got bankrupted, right? But he had this passion. Again, coming back to the first question, he had that grit. So I think it is not something कि मैं entrepreneur ही पैदा हूँ और मैं entrepreneur ही अब बनूंगा. ये आपके experience के साथ आती है and ये आपके passions के साथ आती है. You see a problem out there in the market, you think that this problem can be solved through an idea, through some sort of innovation, through some sort of an tech integration. You believe in it, you go out there, you find the right mentors, you find the right advisors and the investors, you scale it, you work on it, you find the right team, and then you make it big. Or even if you don't make it big, I keep saying that it is an experience of a lifetime, right? On the other side, on the corporate side, you work in small silos, you have limited exposure and experience towards things. But over here, when you come and you run this as an organization, you come to know that, okay, there is business development and sales side, there is acquisition side, there is marketing side, there's a legal side to it, there is an investment side to it, there's a finance side to it. So many hats to wear. So, I mean, the experience is phenomenal and nobody has figured it out. I keep saying that I'm a 40-year-old guy and still, I mean, I'm figuring out life. Nobody has figured it out, what they want to do, how they want to do it. I mean, there are phases in life. So go through these phases. There is a journey with ups and downs, and you have to just walk on it. Sometimes it's going to be better. Sometimes it's going to be really, really bad, but that's part of the parcel. So coming back to the answer, no, I completely disagree. You need to have a growth mindset. If you want to do something, go for it. A gut feeling hoti hai aapki. I always say that, follow that gut feeling, because your body, your heart, mind knows what you want at that moment. And that gut feeling is actually, sort of an indicator towards that. So go for it. If this is something you want to do, definitely try it.
And there's some people who also say that, entrepreneurship is a game for the privileged, because when you take this plunge, it's a win or lose situation. Maybe you will make money, and for somebody who is maybe relying on this solely as their rosy roti and this is their bread and butter, do you think that's a wise move, or would you recommend somebody who's starting off or thinking about starting off to have something on the side as well, because आप fully नहीं rely कर सकते इस पे in the beginning especially?
Yeah, so I mean, there's two ways to look at it. I mean, if you are financially stable and आपका, let's say, जो हम लोग कहते हैं kitchen का खर्चा वगैरह चल रहा है, and then you get into this thing, I personally feel you are not getting into it 100%, right? Because at the back of your mind, if this thing doesn't work out, you have something where you can go to, right? So you're never going to give your 100% to that particular startup or an idea or whatever you want to do. So I mean, जितना बड़ा risk होगा, जितना आपका ज़्यादा उसके अंदर, skin in the game, right? If you have the skin in the game, that's where the investor is also going to support you. That this person has taken a huge risk. That's why I'm going to bet my money on it. So, I mean, if you are going to do a safe play, then I don't think this is really for you, or you will really be successful in this as well. And like I said earlier, be ready for failures. I mean, most of the startups fail, right? So, I mean, if you are going to get into it, yes, there is fame, there is learning, there is experience, there is exposure, there's a lot of growth, definitely. But there's the other side to it as well, if all of it doesn't work out for you. In terms of being from that financial sound background, I used to work in a telecom sector, right? I'm married, my wife works in fashion retail, I have school-going kids. And when I got this opportunity, I had to actually leave my job and move to another country to get into that founders program. And it was just for 2 months. And there was no guarantee after 2 months I'm going to get the investment. If I was supposed to get the investment at that point in time, great, then life is great. But if ऐसा ना होता, so there was no job, there was no future. But what pushed me, that it will be a global exposure. There will be entrepreneurs and founders and business experts from different countries over there. I will make a lot of connections. I will, enhance my network as well. And maybe down the road, I will maybe end up getting the investment, right? So you can look at things in a negative way or you can look at things in a positive way. अगर आप negatively देखोगे तो आपको सब भी negative नजर आएगा, और अगर आप positively देखोगे तो even negatives के अंदर भी आपको positive नजर आएंगे. So I financially I wasn't sound because obviously मैं corporate में job कर रहा था, मुझे रोजी रोटी अपनी कमानी थी, but I took that jump, right? And I went over there. Long story short, I raised a pre-seed investment. I scaled my startup back in the country. I hired a lot of people. I mean, it was a great experience. So, इस तरह का mindset अगर आपका है कि जी पैसे पहले हों और फिर मैं कुछ करूं, नहीं, I will not invest in you, to be very honest.
Interesting perspective. And I'm glad that you brought up the topic of like family and kids. So what kind of a role do they play? Because I remember we were, in our conversation with Abrar, behind the scenes, we were asking him, बच्चों पे और family पे क्या impact होता है? And he was like, बहुत ज़्यादा impact होता है, because they have to be with you on that journey or in those highs and lows. So what do you think about, or what do you say about that? Do you really need a really supportive family to back up a successful entrepreneur?
Again, a very good question. And Abrar was a workaholic in Careem as well. मतलब यहाँ पे वो जॉब कर रहा था और फिर भी I don't know किस तरह से वो फैमिली को मैनेज करता था. I'm sure in ताज़ा तो दिन रात उसने ये किया हुआ होगा. But for me, obviously, your partner, your wife, or your girlfriend, super important emotionally as well as financially. So, like I said, my wife works in fashion retail. So when I was taking that position of leaving the corporate job and going to the Singapore, I said, this is what I want to do. The worst come, I will be jobless, but I have confidence in myself. I will find a job. Job aapko mil jati hai. But this is something really I want to do, but I want your support. And if you don't have that support back home, if you don't have that support from your partner, you are mentally not in that game. So yes, you need that support, and I got that, and I'm thankful to this day for it as well. From the kids' perspective, I mean, they don't really know what is happening. Baba late aa rahe hain, maybe kaam zyada hai. So us side ke upar, I think yes, you need to give some time to your kids when they are growing up. My kids are in teenage phase, so आजकल वैसे मुझे लिफ्ट नहीं कराते. But yes, you need to spend some time, maybe on the weekends, maybe sometimes once a week in evenings with your family. But I think your partner is more important than anything. If she or he is not supportive, then it will create a lot of problems. So going into this, I also say that you are married to your co-founder, because with your co-founder, you actually spend more time than with your wife or with your husband, right? So you need to clear these before getting into this. It's a 24/7 job. Initially, you are doing a lot. You are hustling a lot. It's not an easy thing. We see on LinkedIn, you have raised that much amount of funding. They are going and traveling to that fellowship. They are doing this. They have done that much acquisition. And we think about it, wow, this person is having a great life. But I mean, बैकडोर्स में अगर आप जाके देखें तो उसको दिन और रात का पता नहीं होगा कि क्या चल रहा है उसकी जिंदगी के अंदर. एंड फॉर दैट द फैमिली, even if you are not married, you need that support from your parents or your siblings or anybody that you are close to. Without it, it will be really hard for you to operate or scale.
Absolutely. So now coming to actually talking about that starting that entrepreneurial journey. In your experience, what are the common mistakes that you've seen entrepreneurs make during the ideation process? And how can these mistakes be avoided?
Yeah, so for me, the first one is that you keep talking on the table. You keep creating your idea into something really, really great, and you don't go out there in the market to test it in whatever the way. I mean, there's a term called MVP, minimum viable product. Make that minimum viable product. It can be a simple app. It can be a web page. It can be something entirely basic level. I mean, whatever you call it, in terms of anything that you can test out in there in the market as well. By very simple, आप एक form बना लें और उस form के ऊपर different चीजें लिख लें अपनी target market के हिसाब से, and go out there and ask strangers about that. This is the idea. This is what we are trying to do. What is your feedback? That's the simplest form. But what the problem, a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of these founders do is that inside they stay within these halls and these meeting rooms, air condition के अंदर बैठ के आप पूरा idea बना लेते हैं और उसके बाद आप कहते हैं I'm going to get the best tech team, or I'm going to get the best software house to make a very great app with a lot of AI, machine learning integration and whatnot. and eventually your idea fails because you haven't tested it out in the market. And testing it out, not with your friends, not with your siblings, not somebody that has a bias. Go out there, talk to the strangers, because that's where actually your market is. The second thing is, who are your early adopters, right? Once you launch in whatever capacity, which target market is using, get the feedback from that target market, because that early adopters are the golden mine for you. They are going to give you the right insights into how to scale your idea, business, app, website, whatever you are working on. And then thirdly, your team. जो आप सबसे पहले टीम अपने पास ऑन बोर्ड करते हो, these people are super important. I still feel the success that Careem has in Pakistan and across the 14 markets, जो initial phase के अंदर जो लोग आए थे, they were a lot talented. They were the right people to hire as well. They scaled it marvelously. A lot of them have started their own startups. A lot of them are still working with Careem as well. And ये learning मेरी नहीं थी, because when I started my startup, I was just hiring people from the corporate side. I was just hiring people to fill roles as well, because आप एक timeline के ऊपर चल रहे होते हैं with investors that you have to reach a certain milestone to unlock more of the funding, right? So I made that mistake for my startup, and I realized that when I joined Careem, that talent is super critical and super important, and the talent that you hire initially, and they need to align with your vision. So first you need to be very clear about what you want to do. ठीक है, ये तो idea, but what you want to do, what sort of an impact what you want to create, and those people need to align with that impact, align with that vision. That is going to create the passion. They are not going to work for the salary or the equity or anything. They are going to work in particularly for that particular idea. So these things are super critical. Going out there in market, testing it in whatever capacity, getting feedback and insights from your early adopters, and hiring the right team.
Okay, absolutely. And in this, I think another role that now, obviously, I think when you started out, the startup ecosystem was not as developed as it is now, right? We still have a long way to go, but we're still somewhere a B. So do you think that there is a community, or there is a lack of a community that needs to also support each other? Does that play any kind of a role, or do you think different startups need to do this on their own?
No, you should never do it on your own. As a founder, it's a hard path. Again, जो आपको नहीं नजर आता. When I had to shut down my startup and I had to start looking for a job as well, there was no support system. There was no sort of a community where I can go to and talk to people about what is happening with me, right? And my family was not really understanding, especially my parents. They said कि corporate की job छोड़ के पता नहीं कहाँ पे तुम निकल गए हो, तो तुम्हारे साथ यही होना था, you know. So जिस तरह से 90s के parents होते हैं. So I think it is super critical. आपके पास वो community होनी चाहिए जहाँ पे आप जा सकें, not just to get that support that I needed at that point in time, but also, I mean, if something is not working out, you need to reach out to somebody, you need to hire somebody, or just you need to talk about your challenges. So that is super critical. What Hatch is doing, what some other platforms are doing, it is important. लेकिन I think इसको virtual से ज़्यादा in-person environment के अंदर हम लोगों को लेके चलना चाहिए. Because again, I'm an old school guy. Zoom वगैरह के हिसाब से I don't really judge what the other people are feeling, or where I need to jump in and cut them off or something like that. So मैं usually confused ही रहता हूँ. But yeah, I mean, these communities are super important. आपको हैंड होल्डिंग की भी जरूरत होती है. कई दफा आप ऐसे challenges में फंस जाते हैं where your experience or the team that you have is not going to help you, and you need an outside perspective, and you get that from those communities where you will feel that there are other people, not just from the startup ecosystem, but from the corporate as well, from the business community. So it has to be that diversified crowd. And sometimes you are trying to reach to certain clients where the corporates help you. I mean, we see that happening in our organization as well, that we need that support. So पहले इस तरह से नहीं था. When I started, yes, it was too early. उस वक्त तो आप ये कह लें कि VCs और investment और ये seed और ये सारे जो rounds वगैरह, इनका भी किसी को concept वगैरह नहीं था. But now, I mean, with the 350 million plus funding coming in last year, a lot of startups, a lot of hiring. I mean, there's everybody knows about this. It's a huge industry. I mean, alhamdulillah, and it's growing. So in that sense, these communities now they are needed more than ever.
And although that, mashallah, it has been growing, given the current, talking about today, where we are with the current economic situation and, workers being laid off, we see Swivel and Airlift, and now Trucker, I think, is following suit. And investors now, maybe given the global financial situation, investors are really second guessing, their investments. So what advice would you give now to startup founders who are already in the, in the game?
So, like I said earlier, I mean, there are two ways to look at things. It can be with a positive mindset, it can be with a negative mindset. So for me, again, this is a great opportunity for people that want to jump in the startup ecosystem. Why? The talent that is being laying off is the talent that you need. Like I said, ना कि आपको initially बहुत उस तरह के plug and play किस्म के लोग चाहिए. So that particular talent is out there in the market, right? And different startups उनको उठाएंगे भी सही. And what is happening because I would not say a global recession, but I think थोड़ा सा आप कह लें इसको discrete किस्म का है कि आप उसको कह भी लें recession, but वो नहीं भी है, but in a way है, and it has its impact, right? Where the dollar is going, what is happening within our political instabilities. So these things matter. These things matter not just to startup ecosystem, but to MNCs, corporates, and other businesses as well. So there is that. I mean, you have to deal with it, and it cannot be just ups and ups and ups in the startup ecosystem. Yes, the last year was really great. Funding was coming in, but now the market is trying to go and create a sustainable model, right? Previously, what was happening was you take the money, you acquire your customer base, you acquire your clientele, you hire people, you scale, you ask for more money, you scale more. So hyper growth mode mein chal rahe the. Now it is more about sustenance, which it should have been from the day one. Sustainability ke liye, obviously, you need to be in a different pace. There was a Harvard Business Review article that stop thinking about it from the unicorn perspective. You need to be more in a camel mode, right? Which is a slow and steady mode. Like I said earlier, that you need to change, you need to pivot according to the market. So yes, it is challenging time, but it is also an opportunity. I don't think problems khatam ho gaye. I don't think there is no space to innovate, to explore and come up with new ideas. And I think it is a perfect time actually to jump in because talent is out there. We have already proved that there are people that can raise funding, investors and ecosystem is out there. You just need to show them that you can reach the profitability way earlier than it was previously planned. So if you can do that, then I think market is still ripe.
And my last question to you was that would you still recommend aspiring entrepreneurs to enter this market given the situation? But I think that's going to be a profound yes from your side.
So coming back to the question one, what needs to be an entrepreneur? Passionate, grit, और थोड़ा सा पागल भी होना चाहिए ना. Elon Musk के I think 3 या 4 रॉकेट फट गए थे और उसकी फाइनेंस टीम ने कहा था कि अब अगर आपने एक्सपेरिमेंट किया तो आप बैंकक्रप्ट होंगे. Right? So, I mean, if you see the numbers, if you see the sanity, the decision should have been, okay, let's scrap it. I'm going to get into it later on. But थोड़ा सा उसके लिए आपको mad भी होना चाहिए. So that's it. I mean, the market still says कि हाँ यार layoffs हो रहे हैं, funding थोड़ी सी रोक रही है. But I mean, it's a global perspective. There is a war going on, right? रशिया यूक्रेन की वॉर हो रही है, उसका भी एक इम्पैक्ट है, वो इम्पैक्ट ग्लोबली है. फ्यूल प्राइसेस कहाँ पे चली गई हैं, फिर पॉलिटिकल इंस्टेबिलिटी भी है, इन चीजों को भी हमें देखने की जरूरत है. देयर इज अ inflation happening and a lot of financial experts are saying it's not inflation, it's going to turn into a hyperinflation, right? So अगर आप कहें कि उन सारी चीजों के अंदर स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम जो है बड़ा स्टेबल और ग्रो करता रहेगा, नहीं करेगा ना, वो मार्केट्स उसको भी इम्पैक्ट करेंगे अगर वो कन्वेंशनल बिजनेसेस को करेंगे. But on the other hand, the opportunity is there. Why is this happening? What I can do? What sort of an idea I can work on that I can scale? How can I integrate this talent? The simplest, most idea that we were discussing in among our friends, entrepreneurial friends, कह लो, उनके अंदर के ये जो सारा talent है, why can't we make a platform, register that talent over there and outsource it to other markets, like a company called Crossover does, and a lot of people are doing that as well. So मतलब आप negatively भी देख सकते हैं कि ओहो बस सब कुछ खत्म हो गया, this is the end of it, go back to the corporate, or you can find these small niches and opportunities that these gaps are there and they need to be filled. What you need to do is road to profitability. पहले अगर आप let's say 3 से 5 साल में दिखा रहे थे, आप उसको थोड़ा कम टाइम में दिखाएं. इट इज पॉसिबल. डोंट स्केल कि मैं 4 कंट्रीज के अंदर चला जाऊं. आप पहले पाकिस्तान में 2 से 3 सिटीज में स्केल करके अपने आप को प्रॉफिटेबल करें, सस्टेनेबल करें, एंड देन यू ग्रो. Simple as that.
Absolutely. And thank you, Ghazanfar. I can also see the passion that you're talking about. I can really see that in you while you're answering all the questions. But we really appreciate you taking out the time and sharing your insights with the community that we have. So thank you so much for your time, and we hope to continue having these conversations and inculcating passion in the people around us.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you guys want, would love to have this in person and maybe some sessions with the aspiring entrepreneurs through your platform. But happy to be around and helping with whatever I have learned and whatever experience I have. And yeah, it was great chatting with you. Great questions. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you so much. All right, welcome back to one of our sessions. No, not this. Welcome back to one of our sessions for the Let's Hatch It Out series. Today, we are going to be talking about the entrepreneurial mind. So this conversation is going to be about entrepreneurship and what it takes for one to actually become an entrepreneur. With us today, we have Ghazanfar Iqbal. Ghazanfar is the co-founder of AutoSahulat, a startup working towards empowering mechanics in Pakistan, which was funded by Antler, a startup generator company based in Singapore. He has over a decade of experience working in the corporate sector, and he was a part of Telenor's entrepreneurial program Ignite, which was incubated in Bangkok and Singapore. He's an Acumen Fellow and a mentor at NIC Islamabad as well as Hatch Pakistan. Currently, he's working as the country head sales in Careem, and he's also co-founded GuzPro, which is a digital media enterprise that incorporates different online platforms to share inside-out strategies and motivational content to help students, inspire learners, and professionals to grow and thrive. We are super excited to have Ghazanfar with us. He's played a very big role in helping out our mentees. So we're really excited to hear from him. Thank you so much, Ghazanfar, for joining us.